I want to learn chapter 2 in Tanya this week because we're approaching Gimel Tammuz and day of Iskash, their connection to the Rebbe, and we're approaching Chav Chasivin, the 80th anniversary of the day the Rebbe came to America. And these are days which empower us to connect to the Rebbe's mission and connect to the Rebbe himself. And to know what that connection is about, the author tells us right in the beginning of Tanya. There is a very powerful sikha this week about Korach. Korach says, I don't need Moshe Rabbeinu. I connect to Hashem myself. I learned the lesson the spies. The spies say that they don't want to have Gashmias. I understand that mitzvahs are important. But if mitzvahs are so important, by the Zev, we ring Mr. Shabbos, really. Hey, Kujai. If mitzvahs are so important, so
Teething.
Then,
Teething.
Remind me to send you the story that I have about teething. Anyway, so if mitzvahs are so important, the main thing is what we do b'gashmis. The main thing is our physical performance of mitzvahs, and then Moshe Rabbeinu's tefillin and my tefillin are both our arms putting on tefillin. It's the same thing. Why don't you Moshe Rabbeinu? So the story goes on, and Korach gathers these 250 people that he gathered to rebel against Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu tells them, tomorrow morning Hashem will make known whose side he's on. So Rashi asks, why did Moshe say wait till tomorrow morning? Why tomorrow morning? So Rashi gives two explanations. Remember the explanations, anybody?
I'm gonna guess it was clear as morning, clear as day.
Rashi gives one explanation. He says that you guys are drunk now. Let's wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow you guys will calm down. Tomorrow we'll talk. In other words, Moshe was hoping they would do tshuva by the next morning. They would say, "Okay, what a crazy thing. Of course we shouldn't do that." That's what Moshe was hoping for. Others, other explanation of Rashi is that Moshe was saying to them, just like day and night cannot be changed, you can't change day for night and night for day. So too, Reb Zev, tzitzis. The Korach is against tzitzis, but we were for tzitzis. Just had in yesterday's chitas. Just like you can't change day to night and night to day, so too, morning. So Moshe told Korach, you also can't change the hierarchy of the things that Hashem has established. There's a Kohen, there's a Levi, there's a Yisrael. Everyone has their role. You can't change day to night, night to day. So that's just the way Hashem made the world. That's what Moshe told Korach. Let's have a coffee. It's kosher today. So both of these explanations aren't really satisfactory on the simple level, because how long does it take someone to do teshuva? An instant. In a second, it takes you a second to do teshuva. In a moment, do teshuva. The Moshe told, when I got a tiny little time today, actually two tiny years there, you can pass the tiny over there from the next Muhammad thing. So
there's some really cool blue ones from Liberia.
So Moshe told Korach, wait till tomorrow morning, hoping he'll do tshuva. Why till tomorrow morning? Just he's talking to Korach in the morning. You should have told Korach, let's wait a couple hours. Let's wait till tonight. Why till tomorrow morning? So that's one question. So, and also the second explanation that Moshe gave, you can't change day to night, night to day, and therefore Moshe said tomorrow morning. He wanted to emphasize that such a thing called morning and night, and that there's limitations in creation. If that was Moshe's point, he could have also said the same thing if he would have said tonight we'll find out. There's night and there's day, and you can't change night to day and day to night. There's rules Hashem made in the world. You can't switch things around. If that was Moshe's intention, just to prove that day and night can't be changed, you didn't have to mention specifically daytime. You're going to mention nighttime as well. So why do you emphasize the idea of morning? Tomorrow morning. So there are two ways of doing teshuva. You could do teshuva because you're afraid of punishment and you don't want Hashem to zap you. So you do teshuva, so that will hopefully deflect any negative energy coming your way. That's one possible one way of doing tshuva. Another way of doing tshuva is do tshuva out of love. And the Gemara says, if you do tshuva because you really love Hashem and you want to be closer to Hashem and you regret the way things were, all you have to turn into mitzvahs. So Moshe was telling Kerach, it's true that that you could do mitzvahs, and Moshe Rabbeinu does mitzvahs, and you do mitzvahs, and they're the same mitzvahs. You put on tefillin, he puts on tefillin. But Hashem doesn't just want us to do mitzvahs. Hashem doesn't just want us to show up. Hashem wants it also to have light in this world that He made. Hashem wants the home that we create for Hashem to be a luminous, bright home. And for that, you need to have Moshe Rabbeinu. So, to regards to tshuva, your tshuva could be a dark tshuva. You're doing tshuva because of your selfish reasons, because you want things to be good for you. That's not really. There's no light there. You'll get brachas. That's great. You get abundance, but then you're missing soul. Chassidim say, if you take a dead body and you pick up the hand, you have a hand. Pick up a foot, you have a foot. Pick up the whole. You pick up the stomach, you have a big part of the chunk of the body. If you add a neshama, you add a soul to the body, then you have to pick up the entire body. So you add a little bit of neshama, a little bit of soul, you could pick up the whole thing. It's all different things. So Moshe Rabbeinu is the neshama klalis. He's the general neshama of all the Jewish people. So Moshe Tankerach, you know why you need Moshe Rabbeinu? In order to do tshuva, that should be a tshuva of light, a tshuva of morning, need Moshe. That was Moshe's first message to him. Second message, day and night can't be changed. You can't change a kohen to leave to a kohen. What was Moshe saying to him? Why did he mention day specifically? You, Kerach, are saying Hashem wants to have a home Hashem wants to do mitzvahs, and mitzvahs is the main thing. And you can do mitzvah down Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe told Kerach, but Hashem wants it to be morning. Hashem wants it to be light. And that's why Moshe added the words, V'yoyda Hashem. Yoyda Hashem literally means Hashem will notify us tomorrow whose choice He made. We'll see tomorrow, whoever's alive tomorrow will know that's who Hashem chose. But V'yoyda Havaya also means Hashem wants us to know Him. Hashem doesn't just want us to do, Hashem wants us to know Him. And to know Hashem, you have to have Moshe Rabbeinu. Boiker V'yoyda Havaya, you know why you need Moshe Rabbeinu? Because Hashem wants it to be morning. Hashem wants it to be light. Hashem wants us to know Him, not just to do, but to know Him. And that's what Moshe told Kerach. So on that note, I wanted to learn chapter 2 in Tanya, because in that Sikh Rebbe speaks about how Moshe Rabbeinu adds light to the Jewish people. You need to have light. Through Moshe gives you the light, but that doesn't say exactly what the light of Moshe Rabbeinu is. And because it's more basic and a more fundamental thing, I know from Tanya. In chapter 2 in Tanya, it's interesting, right in the beginning of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe speaks about already from chapter 2, about the idea of Moshe Rabbeinu and the Moshe of every generation, what they give us, which is really, it's a surprising thing, because you'd think that, considering the kind of consternation and antagonism that Alter Rebbe had, you'd think he would sneak in this concept of Rebbe and Tzaddik, somewhere in Kuntra Sachar, somewhere all the way in the back, and no one's right away in the very second chapter of Tanya, he's already talking about a Tzaddik and Moshe Rabbeinu, and it doesn't seem so PC, as we'll see. And the reason he does this, I heard from Ramel Tzibel Vashon, he wasn't just saying his own word, he's saying a basic thing in Chassidus, is that we'll see in this chapter, as Moshe told Kerach, that the idea of connection to a tzaddik is something which gives you connection to Hashem in a very real way, in a very enhanced way, and therefore it's so fundamental. And therefore, it's the very first thing that we read about in Tanya. After the author begins the questions in Tanya, and he sets the framework of where Tanya is going, then he goes to chapter 2. Let's go. Perek base. The second soul of a Jew is an actual part of Hashem. The first soul is the animal soul. Our first persona, our most natural persona, is our animal soul. And our second soul is the actual part of Hashem. Why is it called the second soul? The simple reason it's called the second soul is because the first soul arrives to us when we're born, And the neshama begins coming in at the bris, and only fully comes in at bar mitzvah. So it's a second soul. Another reason it's called a second soul is because it seems like it says in chapter later on in Tanya Chapter, in chapter 29, how our most natural self is our body, our animal soul. The neshama seems to be something deeper, not our natural self. So it's a nefesh hashenis. It's the author says later on, he automatzmi. The person himself is the animal soul. That's who we are. And then there's the second soul. There's another second deeper persona, which is a part of Hashem. So although we're calling it a second persona, a deeper persona, I want to emphasize that it's not our animal soul is not our identity. As we discussed a couple of times in the last couple of months, that although our natural reality as our animal soul thinks and feels and does and everything, that's not who we are. You feel that you're hungry and you want to go to Ralph's to buy sushi. You go to buy sushi in Ralph's, and when you go out of the car, you forget your child in the car. Now, how could that happen? What's more important to you, the sushi or your child? And by the way, in some new cars, I don't know if that is in the Teslas yet, but some cars, it says when you turn the car off, it says check the back seats. Now, is this something which is common to all people? Doesn't matter, lousy parents, good parents, lousy children who have more challenging. This is the way people are. People forget. Why do we forget? What's more important to you, your children or the sushi? Is there a question? No question. But the reason it's possible for you to forget your children and to go to the sushi is because you have an animal soul. And that is the loudest voice in your head. It's the loudest voice. The loudest voice. The nefesh elokis is called an ebach. Speaking of the word nebach, King Solomon says that the godly soul is called Yeled Chacham Miskin. It's called a child who's wise, and nebach is a nebach. He's like, poor kid. He's a poor little rich kid. Poor little smart kid. Not Richie Rich. That's Richie Rich. Poor little rich boy. The nefesh elokis is called. I got him set up with Garth. I'm being Richie Rich. Poor little. The godly soul is called Melech Chacham Yeled Chacham Miskan. He's called a wise Nebuch child. Why is he called a child? He's called a child because he comes in the body later on. Why is he called smart? Because he has great ideas. And he's called a Nebuch. He's called a poor guy because all of his ideas, from the perspective of the way the world looks at things, are all like waste of time. Let's go do a mitzvah. What does the world say? Go do a mitzvah. It's wasting your time. Let's go make money. Let's go do another mitzvah. You know, when someone says to you, "Want to go do a mitzvah?" You're thinking, "Do they think I'm a sucker?" You know, but that's nefesh elokis. The godly soul is the smart one. The godly soul is the one who has the better ideas. He's a child, but he's called a nebuch because his ideas are not considered valuable from the perspective of the animal soul. So the godly soul, that's its name. It's child. It comes in later. It's wise, and it's called nebuch. What's the animal soul called? The animal soul is called an old and foolish king. Why is it called the old foolish king? It's called old because it comes in the body as soon as you're born. It's actually a discussion in the Gemara if the animal soul comes in when you're born or from conception. Then it's called a king because it's the one who's there and reigns. It's the one who, but the godly soul hasn't come in yet. He has a home court advantage, and it's foolish because with all of its. We went to that last week in the Hayemim of 23rd of Sivan that it's great. It has very convincing ways of us, very very convincing. In Hayemim it says that the animal soul could be like a fox, very very wily, very intelligent. It's not called an animal soul because it's so dumb. It's called animal soul because it's so grab, because it's so coarse. So it says very convincing ways of us doing very foolish things. That's the animal soul. Very smart ways, very convincing ways to do very stupid things. That's the animal soul. So who are we? So our loudest voice in our head is the animal soul. That's the loudest voice. The godly soul is a very soft voice. You can't hear the godly soul. It's very soft. I want sushi. It's loud, but I'm a father. It's soft. But who are you? Are you a father or are you a sushi eater? Everybody knows that they're not sushi eaters. They're fathers. They're husbands. They're children. They're brothers. They're sisters. They're not. That. But that's the loudest voice. So when the Alter Rebbe says the animal soul is the person himself, he doesn't mean that's our identity. He means that's our natural self. But what is our identity? Who are we really? Rebbe emphasizes so many times we should know who are you. You are your neshama. That's who you are. That's your identity. That defines you. That explains who you are. Who are you? I'm Jewish. That's who I am. As Rebbe once said, actually, every Jew should know he's a chassid, the son of a chassid, the grandson of a chassid. Every Jew should know he's a chassid. You should know your identity. Okay. In other words, you're looking at yourself as a chassid means that you look at yourself as excelling in Torah, excelling in Yiddishkeit, excelling in Chassidus. You should know that excellence, that standard of excellence is who you are and who you're born with, and your father and grandfather. This is who you have for generations. This is who you are. That's how we have to define ourselves. And so many sichas that emphasize this. And Tanya, the Alter Rebbe wants us to be cautious of the fact that the loudest voice in our head is the animal soul. And therefore, he tells us that the animal soul is the person himself. But the Rebbe, I think, wants on our generation to be cautious about something else. Don't define yourself by being a sushi eater. Know that you're a neshama. That's. Not exactly. The animal soul may seem like it's infinite, but only the godly soul is infinite. You're quoting chapter 29 in Tanya, right? That's what I'm quoting from. Now look at the next page. What's the top line in the next page? What's the top line in the next page? How he the matzvah. So I'm saying the animal soul. That's what I'm saying. The animal soul is a person himself. But even the animal soul is your loudest voice, and it's your natural self. But that's not your identity. It's not your identity. That's not who you are. That's your loudest voice in your head. That's the most natural thing to you. It's natural that you react to food and gashmistic pleasures in a natural, obvious way. You don't react the same way to tefillin. You don't react the same way to mezuzah. But by the same token, though, you go on a plane, you forget your lunch, you're still taking that. Exactly, you're still taking that flight, even though you forgot your lunch. You forgot your tefillin, the plane it's canceled. Doesn't matter how important it was to you. It's your life. Life hangs on the balance for this trip, this meeting and a half. But the whole thing is canceled. The whole thing's done. So you're going to your brother's wedding. You're not going to his wedding. You cancel the whole thing. But you missed your tefillin. You can't go. You've got your tefillin. Doesn't matter. You need to film before sundown. You didn't put on tefillin yet. And your whole thing is canceled. Why is it canceled? But what's more important to you?
If you're going on a plane, you don't have your app yet. You don't have your app. You're going on a plane, you leave for multiple days. What did you bring? Your underwear? Did you remember your socks?
Parenthetically, it's good.
Okay, there you go. If you're gonna shop with your underwear, you can shop with your phone.
I've forgotten many things.
I don't.
Past 2 years more than ever. Never mind. I could forget the connector. I could forget a charger. I remember once forgetting a charger for my iPhone when they changed the pin, right? One to the lightning cable. I had all these lightning cables for my iPad that I didn't have, and I was walking around the vendor floor of the conference. They literally begging, trying to get a vendor. They can't sell anything to give me a charger for my phone. Let's take.
Parenthetically, the Rebbe says that you're supposed. Hold on a second. The Rebbe says you're supposed to begin packing your. I read this once. I don't know where the Rebbe said this. I happened to read this somewhere. I don't know if anyone knows where the source is. Please tell me. That the first thing you're supposed to do when you pack is put your tefillin in the suitcase. You may have to take them out next second, but your beginning of your journey should be with putting your tefillin away. That's putting tefillin in. I heard that. I don't remember the source of this. I think it was printed in May Melech. I have to check it out. Anyways, so point is Mechal Mordechai. The Gemara, Mechal Mordechai, the reason I'm getting this example is because the Gemara also, you find the Gemara always brings very strange examples. The reason we're going to bring strange examples because the Gemara wants to isolate the variable. I'm trying to isolate the variable. I'm trying to isolate the variable of who you are. So we're just using this as an example. The point of this example is for me to understand that I am my neshama, even though I am the guy who's going to this conference, but I am my neshama, and that's why everything is insignificant compared to my neshama's needs. On the other hand, my body, even though would I be upset? Would I be hungry if I don't put on film? I wouldn't be hungry. Would I be hungry if I need lunch? Yes. Would it affect my whole physiognomy, my whole psycho whatever it's called, physiology? Yes. If I didn't eat lunch, it would affect the whole physiology. Yes. Would I forgot my putting on film would affect my whole physiology? It depends. If I would put on every day and I change my schedule, yeah, it would affect it too, but not in the same way. So as we learned last time, the difference between shiftless and achna, right? Anyways, the point is that the Alter Rebbe, when he says your second soul is your neshama, he doesn't mean to say that it's less of your identity, and that's why there's actually two different versions of the Tanya. There is what's called the Medura Kama, the first version of the Tanya, and then there's a second version of Tanya. With this Tanya we have in front of us is a final version of the Tanya. The Alter Rebbe spent many years editing the Tanya. So one of the changes between the Medura Kama and Medura Basra, the Alter Rebbe added the word mamish. The second soul of a Jew is an actual part of Hashem. What's the emphasis of the word mamish? Mamish is part of Hashem. The point of that word is to emphasize that this is your identity. This is really who you are in a down-to-earth, physical, natural way. The word mamish has two translations. Mamish means something you can touch with your fingers, and mamasha, something you touch with your fingers, something which has physical substance. Mishush and mamish are the same root. And mamish also means really. So in the sentence that we're using, the neshama is mamish, a part of Hashem. What does it mean? It's mamish, a part of Hashem. It means two things. One thing it means is it's really spiritual. It's really holy. It's really a part of Hashem. That's one translation of the word mamish. Another translation of the word mamish is it's really physical. Something you could touch with your fingers. Which one is it? Is it really spiritual or it's really physical? And the answer is not only is it both, but both they complement each other. Because the neshama is so spiritual, because the neshama is so holy, it's able to affect us even in this physical world, even in a down-to-earth way. Like another thing I don't know the source for, but this is something I heard also the Rebbe said once. The Rebbe family asked the kasha, he asked the question, Hashem, what do you want from the Jewish people? You put Gan Eden Gehenim in a book, Reishos Chachma. Reishos Chachma talks about Gan Eden, Gehenim, and how terrible Gehenim is, and how wonderful Gan Eden is, and how terrible Averis are, and how the good mitzvahs are. Reishos Chachma. But all physical, enjoyable things we could see, we could touch, we could feel. He said, I promise you, Hashem, put all the physical pleasures in Reishos Chachma, in a book. Put all Gan Eden, Gehenim in front of our eyes, and you will have different results. That's the Ditchver said. So I heard the Rebbe once addressed this. I don't know where the source of this is, but I heard the Rebbe addressed this and said that it's still fair. It's fair. How could it be fair? We see, we breathe, we hear, we smell the physical. How is it fair? It's fair because the neshama is an actual part of Hashem. Because even though the everything we see and think and hear is physical, our neshama is so spiritual that it affects us in such a down-to-earth, natural way. Our neshama is such a part of Hashem, so holy that it has, as the Mitzvah Rebbe says, when you have a brighter light, you can see it from a farther distance. So, because our neshama is so godly and so holy, that makes the playing field fair. That makes things that puts things in balance. That the neshama is actually part of Hashem.
The world around us, what we see is what?
It's physical.
Is that called holy or unholy?
It doesn't.
What we're drawn to,
Hashem could have made the world in a way that it's treif. What do you mean it's treif? Hashem could have made the world in a way that our logic would say that it can't be a God. That's not the way Hashem made the world. Hashem made the world in a way that logic says that there is the Eibishter. But logic, just logic. It's not something you see with your eyes. In Tanya, you could discover the truth of the Eibishter with your seichel, with your neshama. But it's the physical world is parif. It's not holy. It's not treif. It's part of it. You could explain how you want to explain it. The author says in Tanya that it's ridiculous to explain any other way. That's true. It's ridiculous logically to say that Hashem didn't make the world. It's foolish. But just the physical reality of what we see only see the physical. We don't see Hashem's hand, right? So how is it fair that Bishop is asking, telling Hashem, what do you want from your people? Why do you expect them to do mitzvahs? All they see is the physical. So the Rebbe is saying that the reason why it's fair is because the neshama is mamish attached to Hashem in a very, very strong way. So despite all the challenges that a person may experience in life, it's natural to expect that a yid will be successful in any challenge because you're a part of Hashem.
It sounds like when I wake up in the morning, I say to myself and do my stuff. I say I'm physical and body, but I also never wake up thinking that I'm an animal or being a human being. So that idea of me being a human being is like my God. It's like
There's a part before that. There's a part before that. When you wake up in the morning, you say Medani. What do you say when you say Medani? You thank you, Hashem, for giving me back my neshama. Why my neshama? What's good about your neshama over my neshama? You want that for your neshama? Your neshama is so good. What the emphasis of your neshama is not the neshama of an animal, of a goy, of any other person, any other creature. But why? Because Hashem gave every Jew this connection to Hashem. We're a prince. A Jew is a prince. A Jew has this bond, has this very deep bond with Hashem. For a prince, being alive and not being a prince, not being connected to his father is worse than that. So in a similar way, the first thing that we wake up in the morning and say to ourselves, say to Hashem is, I thank you, not just that I'm alive, I thank that I have my Jewish neshama. So happy I'm Jewish. That's why we wake up. Why? What am I so happy about? I'm happy I have a connection to God. That's all that's who I am. Why is that my reality? Because the neshama is mamish a part of Hashem. And therefore, it's something that which you could touch with your fingers. And the way we act, the way we think, the way we speak, the way we do, it's all guided by our neshama. Not only when we do mitzvahs, even
takes nurture.
but even okay, given, but it's something which is so overarching our reality that it defines every experience we do. Our neshama defines everything that we do. It's not just something which you would think without learning chassidus that neshama is just something. And I never told this. This is really general. That he was considering whether or not he should continue the IDF or not. And never said that strength, when it's inside, what's in a box, is the opposite of strength. Strength, when it's in a box, is the opposite of strength. You have a neshama. The author is telling you your neshama is not in a box. Your neshama is not locked up in a box. That was told this general that you have this strength, and if it's in a box, it's the opposite of strength. As a general, I shouldn't have to. There's no reason to explain this to you. I've never told this general. No reason to explain this to you, and therefore, he ever told me you should continue in the idea. In a similar way, the author was telling you, you are a neshama. This is who you are. This is something you have. You are the general. You have the neshama, and therefore, you could do this. You could do this. This is who you are. The first one is, why do you have the animal soul? Yeah, maybe we'll talk about tomorrow, Mr. Shem. What's the point? What's the point of the animal soul? What's up here?